Folks. All right. Today's gonna be not bad. Okay, so we'll probably finish this really early. Um, hold please. I need to pull up all the stuff that I have to show you. Slide box. Here we go. Yeah, cool. All right. Hold please. Sorry. I was less prepared than I thought. Digestive histology. Here we go. Okay, found it. All right. So, as a recap, we talked about digestion the last time we met. All right, so we're talking about the digestive system, and let me share my screen, and I'll give you guys this. Here we go. Share screen. Cool. So, digestive system. Let's look at it real quick. Hey, look at who's here. Somebody had to answer my questions with a no. All right, so digestive system, food goes in the mouth, over the tongue, okay, and then down the esophagus, right? Yeah, cool. All right, so over the tongue, down the esophagus, into the stomach. All right, flash questions. What is right here? Flash questions mean you have to throw them in the chat as fast as you possibly can. What's this? You better hurry. I'm gonna start taking participation points off that are free. Yep, a sphincter. Yeah, so there's the gastroesophageal sphincter, right? So the GE junction and the sphincters right there. Okay. Now, parts of the stomach. We've got this little bump part right here. What's that called? Anybody want to guess? Fundus. Okay, that's the fundus, and this is the main part. Flash questions. Body. All right, I guess I'll just do this myself. Pylorus, and then you have the pyloric sphincter right here. Okay, then you can kind of see it this way. You've got the duodenum, right, and then there's an organ behind here which I've scrolled out. Let's see if we can scroll it back in. It's called the that sucks. It's called the pancreas. It's right there, right? It lies in the arm of the pancreas, duodenum, and then jejunum, and then ileum. Okay, so we go all the way over here, jejunum, and then ileum. This is all ileum. Okay. At the end of the ileum, we've got this thing right here. What's that? Oh, crap, crap, crap. Dang it. Hang on. There we go. All right, there's a thing right here. Flash questions, flash questions. Cecum. Yeah, but between the cecum and the ileum, what's there? What's right here? Ileocecal valve. Awesome. Great job, everybody. Okay. It is kind of a junction, but really it's a valve and a sphincter was really what I was looking for. Okay, so then we have the cecum, right? You were correct, Daniel. And then hanging off this, the little hanging down part, that is the appendix, obviously. All right, and then we've got the colon. We've got three parts: ascending, transverse, descending, sigmoid, rectum on the backside. This is rectum. Okay. All right, and that's your external anal sphincter, the another sphincter. Cool. That's all I got for that. All right, so now that we've done that, let's look at some slides and some blobs. Let's see what this is. I should have just clicked on this. That would have been better. Sorry about that. I thought it would be fun to do in 3D. All right. So the hard palette, okay? Whoa. All right. So if this is the hard palette, this is the hard part right here, right? That's bone. You've got dermal papillae, right? So you've got like dermal layer right here. And then these are ridges of connective tissue that project into the epithelium. And the point of that is to bring blood vessels in close contact with epithelial cells, right? So you can burn the roof of your mouth, right? That's really what you're looking for. There's nerves and stuff interconnected in there, okay? And then you've got submucosa, which is up here. So there's dense irregular connective tissues that support all this. And then above that, you've got, let's see, salivary glands, which are over here. So you've got salivary glands in there. What do salivary glands do? What do they secrete? Salivary. Yeah, obviously saliva. Thank you. Salivary. It's an enzyme. Amylase, which breaks down sugar. That's right. Great job, everybody. All right. And then you've got mucus cells, which produce mucus to lubricate the surface of the epithelium. They're lubricating this epithelium, but then it also is working its way down to the esophagus too, right? All right. And then you've got secretory ducts. So there's ducts right here. You see these cuboidal cells that are between these glands. Okay. This up here, sorry. This is all bone. Okay. And you can tell it's bone because of the way that it is. And the nuclei, right? Like the osteoblasts and the cysts and the, what are those, lacunae? I think is what they name for them. I don't know. I didn't teach anything more this year. All right. So yeah, that's the hard palate. Cool. All right. Let's look at the tongue. All right. So the tongue is covered in epithelium. Go figure. Okay. So all this is epithelium on the outside. All right. We've got papillae again. So we've got these projections where we've got connective tissue, blood vessels, all of that stuff into the epithelial cells. What we're doing is increasing surface area so that we can get nerves all up in here, right? So we get taste sensations that end up there. Your tongue has what's called furrows, which is like this big thing right here, which is kind of freaky. But don't worry too much about those. And then you've got taste buds, right? So the furrows are mostly so food can fall down into the hole in your tongue, which is terrifying if you have what's that, trypophobia or whatever. And then they get picked up by these taste bud cells. So these are like these elliptical structures. They're really shaped more like I don't know. Think of like kind of like the goblet cells a little bit. Like later on that we'll look at. They're picking up little chemical sensations from there. Okay. All right. So they have taste receptors, and there's nerves that like shoot back into here too. Okay. There's also skeletal muscles. What's the point of having skeletal muscles in the tongue? Flash questions. Not really these aren't flash questions anymore. But why do we have skeletal muscles? Why does the tongue have skeletal muscles? We can move it. That's right. We can move it. We can move around. We can go la 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 la. And we use that for a couple things, right? We use it for talking, obviously, but we also use it for when we chew. I don't know if you've ever noticed, if you ever think about it, but now you won't stop thinking about it. When you're chewing up food, your tongue is moving the food around, like subconsciously. You're just kind of like shifting it around so that it will so that you can like break it down even further, right? So the teeth obviously can't move on their own. That's a horrifying thought. So you need to push the food into the teeth, right? So that they clamp down on the food and break it down too, okay? So that's what's going on with that. That's why we have skeletal muscle in the tongue. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be scrolling. I know better than to scroll this fast now. I'm gonna make people nauseous. These skeletal muscles, you can tell they're skeletal muscles because of the nuclei and also the bands, right? The Z bands and all that stuff, right? So you can tell that they're skeletal muscles as opposed to smooth muscles, which would not have that, right? Okay. There's also some glands. So you've got these secretory glands. These are secreting amylase as well, and that you can see kind of the shape a little bit. That's a good one. Where it'll shoot into here and then like be secreted out this way, right? So they kind of like works its way through and out, right? And then you also have other glands, mucus glands, and that is uh, it's secreting mucus. I mean, it's mostly to keep the bottom of the tongue lubricated, right? Let's see. Can taste buds grow back after burning them? Yeah. Why? I'm gonna zoom out on one. Why can taste buds grow back? Sorry. Why does your skin grow back after burning it if you don't burn it too deeply? Yeah, you've got layers, right? So like these cells right here are moving up towards the surface, and then some of them are differentiating into taste bud cells, right? So you have different so if you burn the crap out of this one, eventually these cells will move into its place, right? And that takes not very much time, right? A couple days. Your mouth regenerates like way faster than the rest of your body. Okay, so like you'll notice if you have like if you burn a piece of your tongue or something like that on some hot soup, you'll notice that it like after a couple days it feels completely normal. You rarely will go like weeks of feeling like I burned my mouth unless you like severely burn it, right? And the reason for that is these are rapidly regenerating because they're getting damaged by like food, right? So if you like clamp down on some hard food and it like cuts into your mouth or whatever, you can't just walk around like with holes in your mouth every time you eat, right? So it's like chewing glass. Like that'd be a terrible idea. But what happens is you want to regenerate that quickly because you need that, right? It's a survival mechanism. That's mostly what taste buds are built for, which is why we taste things like bitterness, right? We taste bitter because it's the pH of the food, and poisons are bitter, right? So if things are poisonous, then they'll be bitter. So we use it as a little bit of a survival mechanism, but we also use it for like other sensational stuff. So you need those cells to be able to like not do stupid things like eat acidic, you know, like drink acid after you've burned your mouth really bad, right? So like you need to be able to regenerate those. So yes, great question. They're epithelial cells, and epithelial cells rapidly regenerate. Is to answer your question in way less words. Cool. Any questions about the tongue? There's like different papillae. I looked kind of at the test a little bit. You don't really need to know the difference between like all of those. Um, just kind of know that you have different papillae in like different areas of the tongue, and that exists, right? Like if you're at a different cross section of the tongue, um, you're doing different things, right? So these filiform papillae. Um, the circumvallate papillae. These. Yeah, so these things, they're different kinds of taste buds. So you're tasting different sensations in different areas. Okay. And a bunch of them. There we go. Yeah, they're like little mouth pouch things. So just know that there's a couple different ones and they all do different things. Okay. No taste buds can be seen in the specimen. Good, because I was going to go look for them. I wasn't going to go look. Skeletal muscles in the tongue. Yeah, great. Some meds can cause hairy tongue. Where are those? Are those pores or follicles? I don't know. Medications. Let me Google it, and I'll give you an answer. Um, what is hairy tongue? Such freaky. Are there pictures? Oh yeah, there you go. Um, those are pores or follicles. Yes. So lack of stimulation on the tongue surface, leading to overgrowth of the tiny bumps, papillae on the tongue. So which then trap food particles. Yeah. So that's a great thing. So if you look at those papillae, like here, basically with what's happening with that, and this is based off me Googling a couple things and a wide range of anatomy knowledge. I'm gonna take a best guess. These papillae are overgrowing, right? So these are just getting longer and longer, right? They're not sloughing off like they should be. So what that does is it increases the surface area. Well, this area right here is mostly a protective layer, right? Like that's what the inside of our mouth is. That's where all of the pathogens are getting in. So if you're trapping more food particles, right, because there's more surface area, more places for them to fall into, you're going to have like an overgrowth of bacteria, yeast, all that stuff. And yeah, you'll get that. Here you go. Let's look at freaky pictures. Ew. Isn't anatomy cool? Yeah, look how big those papillae are. Yeah, look at that. They're massive. That might be Photoshop. All right, cool. Anatomy. All right, so that's the tongue. That's the inside of the mouth. We'll end there. Okay. We'll let that haunt your nightmares. All right, so the esophagus. So this is a cross section of the esophagus. So think if it's a big long tube, we're cutting a piece of the tube off, right? So this is what it looks like. Let's start from the inside. All right. So we've got a mucosal layer, a submucosa, and a muscularis, and then an adventitial layer. Okay. So let's see, mucosa, submucosa, submucosa, muscularis, and then adventitia, which is connective tissue, basically. Okay. So These are the mucous membranes. Okay, you can tell because they are. Let's see. I'm going to show you something else, but yeah, they're stratified squamous non-keratinized epithelium. So they're stratified squamous epithelial cells. So this is like a good example of what they look like. They're just blobs. Okay, normal blobs. Okay, this is the simplest form of epithelium. Okay, you have a lamina propria and a muscularis mucosa. So lamina propria right here, you can tell that because of the way that it is. It's a connective tissue layer, so you can see the connective tissue in here. By the way, if you haven't picked up on this, cellular layers like mucosas or muscularis or whatever, well-defined cells. Okay, so like individual cells kind of everywhere. Okay, lamina propria layers, like thin connective tissue layers. Connective tissue has nuclei, but like very like weirdly defined cell. Like there's no like cells really going on here. It's a lot of like keratin and like other proteins that are kind of holding all this together. So if you ever see something like this, and you're like, I have no idea what I'm looking at. It's probably connective tissue. Okay, so then we have the submucosa. Sorry, I skipped a layer. The muscularis. So these are smooth muscle cells. Let's see. These are going. Yeah, these are going to be going. So just for reference, and to kind of like tell you, the muscle cells are running up and down the epithelium, right? They're not like wrapped or the esophagus, right? They're running this way because of peristalsis. So you're squeezing, you're squeezing, you're squeezing, you're squeezing, right? You're squeezing, squeezing. Okay, you get it. Peristalsis is pushing it down. So the muscles are not, they're not like squeezing this way, they're squeezing this way. Okay, so you're not going to see like smooth muscle cells well defined unless you do a transverse cross section, in which case you would see the perpendicular, like the big long muscle lines. But these are just going to be little cross sections, like circular cross sections. Okay. Cool. So then we have submucosa, again, dense irregular connective tissue. So a lot of weird, crazy stuff going on, mostly dense. This is like loose irregular connective tissue, like not so much, but like you see how it's got a lot of white spots in it? There's like gaps and stuff. That's kind of like looser. This like well packed stuff right here, that's dense irregular connective tissue. And it's irregular because it's freaky, like all over the place. Okay. Ducks. Cool. Where are we at? There. All right, so we've got ducts right here, and you can tell that they're ducts and they're secretory cells because they are cuboidal epithelium, right? They're the cubes. They're stacked on top of each other. You can see that that's a cube, that's a cube, that's a cube, right? Very, very uniform. Okay. And then you've got muscularis externa, so that's this layer right here, right? It's got smooth and skeletal muscle because it's from the middle third of this esophagus. So it's mostly involuntary, but like you can also swallow too. So like something gets stuck, you can kind of force it, right? So you definitely have some skeletal muscle going on. All right. The inner layer is circular layer muscle cells. So like here, you can see that they're pointing up and down and we're crossing this way. And then we've got the outer layer, which are longitudinal, right? So you can see them longitudinal right there. And that's really all it is. So just now, like mucosa, submucosa, muscularis externa. Okay, that's really what we're looking for. Mucosa, submucosa, muscularis externa. Cool. That's the esophagus. Here you can see those cross sections. So this is mucosa. This is the muscularis. So you can see that they're a different orientation, right? You've got these cross sections like that. Cool. Okay. Okay. The G junction, gastroesophageal junction. Let's see. All right, so this is between the gastro and the esophageal. So esophageal, gastro, right? We've got a transition of cells. You should be able to see that. So if the stomach is on the left and the stomach and the esophagus is on the right, so you can see the big difference. Okay, so we've got a transition right here. This is like the mucosa. And then as we move over, it looks different, right? Like you can see that it's not as well defined. You start developing some of those rugae, right? So we're increasing the surface area big time over there versus over here. And you can tell the order of, not order, but I mean, yes, order, but not order like the order of sequence. You can tell like the ordering of the cells, okay, is different. So you see that kind of looser right there. And that is because of expansion. So you're going to be expanding. You can also see the simple columnar epithelium start to pop up, right? So on the muscularis layer, right there, the columnar epithelium versus over here, you've got that stratified epithelium, right? Let's see if we can see something in the middle. Here we go. So, stratified epithelium, columnar epithelium. Cool. Junctions. All right, let's look at the stomach. Stomach wall. Kind of the same thing we just looked at. There's a mucosa, there's a submucosa, and there's a muscularis layer. Okay, so pretty much the same thing. Don't worry about all of these other things. Adventitia, loose connective tissue. Here you go. There's a good example of loose connective tissue. So loose, it's very irregular and like all over the place. Cool, cool. All right. Show you something else too. Let's see if it's done down. There we go. All right, so generally in the digestive tract, we've got the mucosal layer, which is this epithelium. It's always going to be epithelium, okay? And then we've got lamina propria, which is between that and the muscularis mucosa, right? So we've got a deep epithelium layer, and then lamina propria, and then a muscularis mucosa. So that's holding that inner layer together. And then between that, we'll always have what's this called? Shoot. Like a gap where we've got glands and all kinds of stuff kind of floating around in the submucosa. And then more superficial to that, we're always going to have a muscularis layer. Right. So this can change like what is in these layers, but just remember mucosa, submucosa, muscularis, adventitia. That's really always how it's going to be. Okay. So let's see. Okay. All right. Here we go. That's what I was going to look at. Okay, so we have these like gastric pits that you can see. This kind of it reminds me a little bit of like the taste bud thing, where we've got those pits in the tongue that the food can kind of fall down into, and we can focus on that and like taste it, right? And then we just kick out. So we have the same thing kind of going on here in that layer, right? So in the mucosal layer. So that is lined by surface mucosa. mucus cells, so these columnar epithelium, right, around the pit. Okay. And then mixed in with that, we've also got what's called G cells, and those are endocrine cells. Okay. So those G cells, those produce gastrin. Let me see if you guys, hang on, oh, please. Right, where are they? Gastric pits. Here we go. No, oh, please. Here we go. These little cheap cells. Right. Full PowerPoint of the lab file. I don't know what's happening. So here's the thing about the lab final. Just like the midterm, any pictures that are on the test will be on either the PowerPoints or like the module stuff. Okay. So no, you don't need to like memorize it, but I'm not using new pictures. Okay. So if it's helpful for that, then and like there's some questionable things that have like actual labels on them, then I would go with that. If they're if it's like some of these photos are just freaking awful. Like I don't know. Like this one's not like amazing. Like look how blurry that is. I would like if it doesn't help you to figure out what this is, don't worry about it. But just know like some of these like a very straightforward test question could straight up be like this picture with like different labels removed, right? So, you should probably be familiar with like some of the easy ones. Okay. I didn't see in the midterm if there was any like art pictures. I didn't think they were that bad. So I'll tell you what my favorite question was on the midterm. This was dirty by Dr. K, but it was a picture of a person and they're holding their arm up like this. And it was like, what part of the body does like the lymphatic system drain from the label thing or whatever? And if you if you aren't paying attention, you just look at the right arm sticking out, but she's labeled the thoracic duct, which is the whole left side of the body. I was like, that is so dirty because like it's just a confusing question, and I know she did it on purpose, which is really funny. It tricks a decent amount of people, but not too many. But yeah, that was my favorite one. But yeah, yeah, I would know like some of these like stupid looking ones that are just blurry. I wouldn't worry too much about those. But yeah, like this would be a good thing. Like here's the duodenum. Like label this section where there's no cells. Like limit. Cool. Does that help? Ooh. It looks so similar. Yeah. Yeah, histology is all blobs. You gotta be able to zoom in to know where you're at on histology. So, but yeah. Um, yeah, that's the stomach. Okay, duodenum. All right, so we've got different areas of the stomach, and there's a junction, right, between there. So we've got the gastro, which is the stomach. And you can tell it is because of the way that it is. We've got these epithelial cells, the columnar epithelium. And then as we move towards the duodenum, we start seeing, where was the junction? Here. Sorry. We start seeing those cells become more like the villi, right? Like I said, I was trying to look for like the transitionary spot, but that wasn't great. So we've got those epithelium right there, but they're shaped different than like the ruvea. Okay, so like these are big folds that allow for like stretching. These are like little folds that are just going up and down. So that's the villi, right? And then within that we've got microvilli. So started to kind of see that a little bit. Cool. Sweet. All right, I'm gonna click on the one. Just one testing. Cool. What was this? Is this all one? Cool. We're gonna get back to this. All right, duodenum. So we've got villi, which are these tall, like structures that kind of project out, and then we've got these little crypts, right? So the whole thing is a crypt. We've got these spots right here that like food can kind of get trapped, and then we can pinch it off and like absorb it, right? So that's what's happening there. We've also got the goblet cells, which are not labeled here, which is not helpful. And those are secreting mucus for lubrication so that you can move the food throughout the system, right? So if this is like anyway, that's probably why they're not labeled. I don't see any good ones here. But yeah, so we've got that epithelium, and then we've got a submucosa, and then we've got a muscularis layer. Okay, this muscularis layer is smooth, right? Because we've got these big, long nuclei, and it looks smooth. Okay, there's no like bands all the way across like you'd see for a skeletal muscle. Okay, all right. Sorry. All right. Duodenum, jejunum. Let's look at jejunum. Ooh, this is so trichome. This is cool. All right, so it's the same thing. The color is just a stain. Don't let that freak you out. This is just a blue stain. Okay, don't let it freak you out. This has also a mucosal layer, right? So, but it's not. It's a little more ordered, right? You don't see like those deep crypts like you would in the duodenum. And then we've got these goblet cells too. So like you can see right here, these goblet cells, those are good ones. They secrete stuff into here, right? They secrete mucus. So you can kind of see that mucus build up right there. Can't zoom in anymore, but this is mucus in the lumen, right? And then we've got enterocytes and absorptive cells. Okay, so that's these columnar cells that create this villi, right? Along the villi, you can kind of see them in this. Let's see if there's a better picture. One of these. It's kind of see them on the ilium is really pretty small. Do you see this like little thin layer right here? You see how it's kind of got two little lines and it's like that? That's the brush border, okay? So that's those microvilli that align that. Cool. Right, jejunum and then ilium, okay? So ilium, you've got way more surface area, you've got way more absorptive cells, these simple columnar epithelia with microvilli. You've got way more crypts, right? More room for absorption. You're doing a lot of absorption, okay? And again, you've got a mucosa, a submucosa, and muscularis, okay? The submucosa here is a little more loose, irregular connective tissue, not so much dense, irregular connective tissue. Okay, and that's because we're moving food through quickly, right? All right. I think we've got advent tissue on the outside, so there's connective tissue Great. Cool. All right, that's the ileum. The blood supply. Ooh, this is neat. So you can see the blood, if these little red lines are the blood supply, you can see that the blood, the capillaries run up into the enterocytes and kind of line them. And then as you absorb nutrients, it's put into this blood system, okay? And then from there, it works all the way back to the venules, to the veins. And then from there, where does the blood drain to? Like big veins. Where does the blood drain to? In the intestinal system, intestinal tract. I'm glad you asked. It drains to the portal vein, which is part of the portal system, right? So it all goes into here. So it comes out of those venules, right? Like if this is intestine right here, it drains into the colic vein, for instance, and then into the mesenteric vein, and then into the portal vein. And from the portal vein, it drains into the liver, which is right here, right? So all of the food goes into your bloodstream, but it doesn't go into your bloodstream. It goes into um, the portal system, right? So you've got portal drainage and caval drainage, so venous drainage into the blood cavities. But this goes into a portal to the liver. From there, it's repackaged in different ways and then sent out to the rest of the body. Okay, so like we talked about with let's do alien, for instance. If we create like a little vesicle right here and we absorb it because of saponification, we're bringing those lipids in. We move those lipids into the portal vein, goes to the liver, gets repackaged into VLDLs, cholesterol, all that stuff. Okay. So that's happening at a very microscopic level right there. Cool. Any questions about small intestines? All right. Already speaks for everybody. Let's move on. Colon. Okay, so again, we've got a mucosa, a submucosa, and a muscularis. Are we picking up a trend here? Are we starting to get that? I can't make it any easier. Like there's 3 layers, and they vary throughout. Okay, so the mucosal epithelial right here, these are enterocytes. These are simple columnar cells, right? You can see right there. You can see those big columns. Okay. And they are not pseudostratified or stratified. They are simple columnar cells. They're just sitting next to each other. Okay. There's goblet cells that secrete mucus, and there's absorptive cells. So this is the goblet cell. That's a goblet cell. That's a goblet cell. So we're secreting mucus and we're absorbing stuff. What are we absorbing in the large intestine? Water. Thank you for participating. Water. Cool. All right, so that's the colon. And let's look at an appendix just for good measure. There's nothing going on there. I mean, there's a little bit of absorption. It's technically the large intestine, but that's the appendix. Okay. Okay. All right, and then from there, all we have left is the rectum. Okay. And there is not a whole lot going on here. You're not really absorbing anything else at this point. But you do have some enterocytes, a little bit of absorption, like that last minute stuff goes through. And then, but we also do see that same organization, right? So we've got a muscularis, we've got a submucosa, and then a mucosa, a submucosa, and muscularis going on. We have a big muscularis layer in the rectum. Why is that? Gotta get it out. Sorry, that's just the way it is. Here's a cross section of an anus. Yeah, thank you, Tatiana. Let's see, where is here it is. Okay. The anal sphincter. So you can see right here, you've got these perpendicular muscles. You zoom in on them. They are smooth muscles right here, right? And then if you go to the external anal sphincter, which is out here, these are skeletal muscles, which tells you what? It tells you that there's an involuntary process and a voluntary process. Thank you, Tatiana. I appreciate that. Yes, so there's an involuntary control and a voluntary control. Pelvic floor muscles are involved in here too. So what's that one called? Elevator ani, I think. I'm gonna Google it. Elevator ani, that's it. That's totally it. I don't teach anatomy one. But here's what it looks like. Just for, sorry, I was gonna say something giggles. But anyway, I won't say it. Yeah, elevator ani. It's like this funnel shaped thing, and it's just, yeah, it's like this. It's definitely not on the zygote body, but yeah, it just looks like this. That's your pelvic floor muscles. Cool. Cool. Really annoying to dissect, by the way, because they go in a circle. So yeah, cool. That's all I got for you. That's the histology. It's very easy. 3 layers. Just remember the layers. Remember what goes on with those layers. You do just fine. Okay. As for the PowerPoint, like again, no kind of these like really easy ones probably. Um, this is good to know probably. These virus patches, aggregated lymphatic nodules. Definitely not sending information to the government. That would be ludicrous. Right? Liver and cross section. Yeah, I mean, you don't really need to know too much crazy stuff. We kind of already have gone over like these CNR cells. Okay, so I wouldn't go crazy on the pancreas stuff. There's the appendix. And know that there's glands and goblet cells, right? Just know what those are. You kind of think about. Cool. This is a colon polyp. In case you were curious, it is a like an outpouching of the folds, right? The villi. That's what it looks like. And if you want to see one in person, I can Google that. Hold it. Go. Images. Here you go. Here's how you remove them. So they kind of stick out like that, and then they put these little loops there, and then they pull, and it cuts it. That's it. That's what they look like in real life. This is a colonoscopy. So there you go. Started with hairy tongue, ending with colon polyps. Everything. Yeah. Well, there you go. That's what you probably have cooler pictures than we do. You ever find anything up there? No, I don't know. We'll go there. So yeah, they look cool. All right, that's all I got for you. Yeah, we find cancer. Yeah, no, that's what's in polyps. All right, cool. Any questions? Any other questions? I'll give you 10 minutes back. No questions? Any comments? Concerns? Thanks. You're welcome. Appreciate you guys. Hey guys, we are in the home stretch. We're getting there, okay? It was a bumpy road, but we are driving it. So, congrats. We're almost there. It's not that bad, right? All right. Have a good night.